Hey, what up, everybody? Welcome back to Fandom Frequency. It's your boy Will coming at y'all live and direct, and we're bringing you some more dope, nerdy content. And if you dig the vibe, if you're loving what we're doing here, and if you are having a good time discussing all this nerdy stuff with me and all the fellow subscribers coming to the channel, make sure you join the community today. Click the buttons below the video. We really do appreciate all of your support. But today we're going to be getting into, I believe, one of, if not the most fucked up episode of The Boys. We're talking about episode 6 of season, what is it? Season 4, right? Season 4, episode 6. And man, disclaimer: if you are sensitive to sexual content, pornography, or BDSM, or drug use, anything like that, or if you're a Batman fan that takes things a little too seriously, this may not be the episode for you. But if you're like me and you got an open mind and you just love watching fucked up, depraved shit in a certain sense, or just can't take your eyes off it, you're gonna love this episode, man. And let me tell you, I enjoyed the hell out of this episode. Not for all the sick, twisted stuff. Come on, get your mind out of the gutter. But I'm talking about just all the cool storyline stuff that they were able to do in the episode. While this was kind of the hero-gasm of this season, and with the whole superhero orgy and whatnot, dicks, coming up and saying hi to people at the front door and shooting cum all over mother's milk and all that. Lots of crazy stuff going on, and I would say this one kind of gives it a run for its money. But the more important character stuff that was actually going on in this episode was actually really cool too. I loved all the stuff going on with Starlight, how she kind of was able to face Firecracker and really give her a heartfelt kind of apology, sort of, for what she did back in the day, but at the same time distract her and kind of put her to sleep so they can get her out of commission in order for them to infiltrate this party at Tech Knight's place in order for them to kind of use the identity of their Spider-Man kind of parody Webweaver, who's like some weird perverted drug addict of a superhero, where they actually have Mother's Milk go to his place and drug him literally and knock him out for 48 hours so they can take the costume, put it on Huey because he kind of matches the same body type and height and everything like that, and have Huey go in as their undercover guy to go infiltrate this superhero party getting held by Tech Knight so they can see what they're planning and what the overall end game is going to be for all this political stuff that Homelander and Sister Sage are kind of cooking up with Victoria Newman in order to get superheroes in the forefront, not get them taken out of military and all these other things they have, their stronghold in the country, and kind of continue their dominance and fucked up way of living and everything like that. And all of that shit kind of gets solidified, but also goes sideways with Sister Sage seemingly losing her super intelligence from getting shot in the dome by Mother's Milk. It's going to be really interesting to see how Homelander is going to navigate this with Victoria Newman and all the political stuff they're trying to do right now and the coup that they're doing without having her intellectual help and without her helping him plan and kind of keep everything in order. I think things are going to maybe fall apart because Homelander's kind of severed off his humanity outside of him trying to take care of Ryan, and truly is getting more fucked up and sinister as things go on. And his split personalities have gotten into like 2 different ones now. 3, including the personality we know as Homelander in a sense. 1 with his more soft side and 1 with the more fucked up side. All of these things coming together with his overall psychology and with the way that Firecracker is using some weird-ass body augmentation to feed into one of Homelander's sickest perversions or sickest preferences or whatever, finding a way for her to kind of get under his thumb and kind of become his most trusted confidant. Now that Sister Sage is out of the way, that's going to be hella interesting to see where everything goes with that. Mother's Milk over there having a panic attack, thinking that it's a heart attack. Where is he going to stand with everything going on? Is he going to bow out and try to get out of the boys? Is he going to continue leading the team? Because, as we know, Billy Butcher has gone off the fucking deep end, similar to Homelander, but in a different sense, because this tumor is eating his brain alive, and it is definitely confirmed now that Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character, who I'm forgetting the name of right now, is not a real person. That is a figment of his imagination and the kind of physical, metaphysical kind of embodiment of all the fucked up, twisted darkness that's inside of Butcher and the things that kind of lead him to do the immoral, fucked up things we've seen him do for the past almost 4 complete seasons now. And then you get Becca, who we kind of knew wasn't there because they kind of made that very obvious, but now we know for a fact, and now Billy Butcher is even realizing that he's fucking going off the deep end and losing his shit taking Samir, cutting off his leg, trying to get him to create this virus, all going into this thing where he's talking to no one. They're not there. And he's been doing this in several places, in public and otherwise, and Butcher has completely lost his shit, and I just really can't even fathom where he's going to go as a character now. Like, what's going to happen? He's going to turn into this monster type thing that tore the Christian superhero, fake Christian superhero guy apart, because he ripped that dude to fucking shreds. It looked like a goddamn pinata out of the goddamn Not Like Us Kendrick Lamar video. What? Like, that thing was fucked up, dude. Like, I don't know what the fuck Butcher did to that guy in the previous episode, but goddamn. And then everything going on with this one, man, like, he's really gone off the deep end. So I really can't predict where he's going to go as a character. And that to me is really, really exciting, because not that his character's been one note, far from it, but you kind of sort of knew where his character was going to go, or what his capabilities were, or roughly what would happen. But now it's like they threw a whole wrench into this thing, and I don't know where he's going to go as a character. So hella interesting, to say the least. That is for sure. And then with Huey kind of dealing with the grief of his father being gone, them spreading his ashes to different locations and things that he loved when he was alive and everything. Huey kind of reconnecting with his mother, and the boys, aka Kimiko, Annie, and Mother's Milk, kind of accompanying them as they walk through the streets and kind of being that support system for him. Now, as we also know, Frenchie's over there, turned himself in for all the murders and things that he did with the Russian mob or whatever. Like I said, not trying to take anything away from what they're trying to do with the character. I understand sort of what they're doing with him and trying to develop the character and bring some different shades to him and give him a little more humanity, with him feeling the guilt and feeling bad for what he's done in the past. My only problem with that is it felt like it came out of nowhere. I understand it was the catalyst of it was the character he was hooking up with from the previous episodes where he killed his parents. And I understand that fucked up the dude's life and yada, yada, yada. But he had done so much fucked up shit in the show already. And I'm like, he wasn't with this guy that long. I don't care if it's man, woman, whatever, gay, straight, doesn't matter. I'm like, you were with this person for a few months. I get sometimes people fall head over heels. I understand. I get it. But if he was with Kimiko and has this deep connection with her as a friend and as a lover, in whatever the stakes are, and nothing with that ever triggered anything, to me, this doesn't really hold any weight. And with him doing all this fucked up shit by choice, outside of the stuff he did with the Russian mob, he doesn't feel guilty about any of the other people he's killed. So that's the problem. I just feel like I don't know. It doesn't feel organic to the character. It doesn't feel organic to the show. It just feels like they're just throwing something in there to try to give him something to do, or give him some kind of character arc, or give him something, but it doesn't really feel earned. It doesn't really feel organic. It doesn't really feel like this is a conclusion that Frenchie would have been brought to. It seems very odd to me. This seems more like something Huey would do. It seems more like something Annie would do, because they have that moral compass. They have that upbringing in them. Annie, coming from Christianity, whether it's all legit or not, she comes from that background where murder is wrong regardless. Huey, raised in a similar moral compass without the religion. You know Huey Sr. wasn't killing people, so you know that wasn't the way he was brought up. His mother wasn't in the picture, but she doesn't seem fucked up in any way of that nature either. So to me, it doesn't really add up, so I'm very, very disappointed with what they're doing with Frenchie in this back half of the season. I like Frenchie being in the action. I like him being involved in the plot. And this, to me, just feels weird. I don't like it at all. It feels like they're kind of wasting Kimiko at this point, too. She has some great moments where she convinces A-Train to save Mother's Milk after he has his panic attack, which seemingly seems like something much worse at the moment, of course. I figured it probably was a panic attack, though. I've had some of those in my days, and I thought it was a heart attack at the time. So I was kind of able to read the signs and kind of read through what was going on. But right before he had his panic attack and knocked out, as I mentioned earlier, he shot Sister Sage straight through the dome, but somehow she survived it, but has this brain damage to where it seemingly seems like her entire super intelligence and really her adult intelligence and maturity seems to have gone away, and she seems like she's almost reduced to like a 6, 7, 8-year-old kid's kind of like mentality. Similar to like in the episode of Fresh Prince, for all you Will Smith fans out there, where he gets hypnotized into becoming like his 8-year-old self or whatever the hell, and then when you hear the sound of a bell, it like brings him back into normal. And seeing Will Smith kind of go back and forth and whatnot, this very much reminded me of something similar to that, except it doesn't seem like there's any way to reverse it. And Homelander's over there pitching his new coup idea that him and Sister Sage came up with in order to try to get the government on their side, in order to overturn what's going on with this guy, use the 25th Amendment so that way superheroes and Vought and everything stays in the position and power that it has. But a lot of these guys aren't buying into what he's saying because they're saying if Homegirl's out of commission and she don't know what the fuck is going on past a third grade level, how are we supposed to deal with all the infrastructure and the money and all these other things that come with you taking these guys out and you becoming the powers that be and everything like that? Victoria Newman comes in and saves his ass last second, doesn't reveal that she's a suit per se, which I thought she was about to do, but she's kind of helping save his ass and kind of maybe doing a scratch my back, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours type of thing. And Homelander's very well aware that she let Stan Edgar go. So I think that's going to come to play as well. And now going from there, Firecracker over here doing her weird shit, breastfeeding Homelander in order to kind of show her loyalty to him and getting some weird body augmentation to where she's essentially got breast milk all the time without even having to be pregnant. That's hella weird. And now it is time for us to go into the dungeon and dive into all the weird shit going on with Ashley and Tech Knight. So Tech Knight is from the comics of The Boys. He's essentially a Batman parody where he's a real fucked up individual version of him, and in this series they make him more of a Sherlock Holmes type of character and lead more into the world's greatest detective side of Batman Bruce Wayne into this version of Tech Knight, where his great-great-grandparents are slave owners and shit. He's literally like throwing this shit in A-Train's face and laughing at him and mocking his people and the history of it, and that's where all the riches come from, and a lot of the family fortune comes from and all that stuff, and what makes him into the rich prick that he is today. And the whole thing with him having his own Alfred, so to speak, someone that was like a surrogate father or caregiver for him in order to help him do all this fucked up weird sexual shit that he's doing in his little private dungeon area where he had a sidekick, which is really just a gimp over there trapped in this place that apparently I guess wasn't cutting it for him. He invites Ashley to this party, which Sister Sage and others think she isn't going to be invited to because essentially the Seven has kind of shunned her from her position of power that she has at Vought. But all that backfires because she has deep sexual dom connections to Tech Knight, and apparently they've been double teaming Dom and each other, whatever, Dom and other people, whatever the fuck's going on. And apparently Webweaver, who Huey is pretending to be in order to go undercover, is apparently all into this shit and was called into this party for this specific reason to become his new gimp / sidekick, unbeknownst to him. And then all this weird shit starts going on, tickling feet and sitting bare ass cheeks and farting on cakes and shit like that. So like I said, not for the faint of heart, that is for damn sure. It's so fucking weird, sometimes hilarious, sometimes very uncomfortable. And the actress that plays Ashley, she's really able to kind of sell it, to be completely honest with you. Like, she's really into this shit. So I will give her credit there. It's good performance and all that. Tech Knight is a fucked up individual. I was kind of aware of this from Gen V. We did do a whole review on that whole first season right there, and I can't wait for season 2. Rest in peace to Justice Perdomo. Really fucked up, man. I'm really sad he's not going to be able to be a part of this. He was one of the best characters of that show. So rest in peace and much love to his friends and family. Terrible stuff, but I know they had to rejigger and retool some of the season 2 stuff for Gen V, so we're probably going to have to wait till next year to get that. But we got one more season of The Boys, so I'm sure all this is going to tie together and wrap up in a nice bow. But I do wonder if they're going to do a 3rd or 4th season of Gen V and keep that going as a spinoff, or if they're going to cut ties with everything in The Boys universe after season 2 of Gen V and season 5 of The Boys, because I would assume we're going to get Gen V season 2 before we get season 5 of The Boys. Probably not going to get any more Diabolical. I still haven't seen that, but that was the animated series they did that's somewhat canon to the series, somewhat not, but I think plays off the comic books a little bit closer and whatnot. But as I digress and getting back into this episode, but by the end of this thing, Huey and them end up bribing him into telling them the information that they need to know about these internment camps that Homelander's trying to set up for all the humans and everything like that in order to pull some fucking Nazi shit and to get Supes in complete control. Meanwhile, Butcher's over there fucking with Samir, trying to get him to crack in order to make this new virus and manufacture it as they were using this and experimenting on it with farm animals and everything that we've seen in the previous episode where the sheep, the bull, and the chickens are all going crazy, murdering people and bursting through their chests like it's a goddamn alien 1979 up in this bitch. But the big caveat here is he can't recreate the virus. He finally tells Butcher, like, hey, man, look, we can't recreate this virus because it's going to become airborne and become a worldwide pandemic and kill every single Supe out there, including your loved ones and shit, which includes Ryan. And he literally even says, oh, shit, Ryan and Annie and Kimiko and all these other people. he will literally kill thousands, if not millions, of people out there in the world if they recreate this virus and get it out there just to try to kill Homelander. It's going to kill a lot of people, a lot of innocent people, a lot of people that have nothing to do with this that just happen to have the compound V. And it's also going to kill a lot of his loved ones and colleagues as well. So how is he supposed to deal with this? The dark side of him, the Jeffrey Dean Morgan, is telling him and urging him to do it. But the Becca side of him is kind of trying to get him to do the right thing, the angel and devil on his shoulder, if you will. And I don't know what decision Butcher's going to make, but it's really terrifying to think that kind of danger and that kind of element is available at their hands right now. And if it falls into the wrong source, someone much worse than Billy with no moral compass or any emotions to stand for, that can get really bad. Really, really bad, really, really quick. And the whole thing with the pandemic playing off of where we've come in the last 4 years since 2020, 2021, whatever, that's a whole topical thing right there. So I love the way that this season's been very topical and very much on top of everything, socially and politically, without scrutinizing only one side without the other. It does seem like they're taking a little more of one side in this season, like we've discussed before. I'm not going to say which one. You can decide that for yourself and make that up for yourself and determine where they think they stand. I don't think they've made any interviews explicitly telling you what their political views are, but just due to the fact firecrackers and antagonists and other things of that nature, I think you get where things are leaning. But at the same time, I think they do bring up a lot of interesting things in the real world, Black Lives Matter and these other things, and using that against other characters in the way that other characters are racist and fucked up. They're definitely not shying away from that, regardless of what political spectrum you fall on. So I do think the social commentary is strong and is a lot more across the board and a lot more down the middle than people are giving it credit for. You know what I'm saying? But you know how it is today, y'all, with the internet and everything. Everything's polarizing. Everything's politics. Everything's one side or the other. Everything's all or nothing, bad, great. So nothing can be in the middle. No one can be even keel or see two different perspectives anymore. I don't know where we got to this world with no nuance, when there's more options and nuance than ever. I don't understand, but hey, that's just where we are today. But, you know, that's the way things are. But without getting too caught up in that, it was a fun episode, a fucked up episode to say the least, but it does move a lot of interesting plot points forward. And it's going to be very interesting to see where they end this season with the next 2 episodes. But I want to hear from y'all. What did you think about this episode? Did you love it? Hate it? Is the sexual weird shit too much for you? Does it not really matter? Have you watched way worse things on the internets? You let me know what you thought about this latest episode. Do you think Billy Butcher, do you think he's going to want to create this airborne virus and risk the deaths of thousands, including his own surrogate son? Do you think that Homelander is going to be able to get this coup across and be able to get things going? Do you think Victoria Newman's going to out herself as a soup? Where are things going to go? Is Web Weaver going to be pissed when he wakes up with the thing in his ass and realize that he's been fucking tricked and his suit is gone? What's going to happen to the Web Weaver suit? Are we going to see him again? I have no clue. Are we going to see Tech Knight again? I certainly hope for their sake we don't, but I mean for entertainment purposes as an audience member, I hope we do. But thank you for sticking around to the end of the channel. We're going to have these next 2 recaps for The Boys. We're going to have House of the Dragon dropping just in the following week right after it comes out on Sunday. And we're going to have a full-on spoiler review coming at y'all by this coming Monday for Maxine Ty West's trilogy ender for the horror trilogy. Started with X a couple years ago, continued with Pearl as the prequel, kind of bridging the gap, and Maxine kind of being the culmination of his new original horror trilogy. Hopefully he sticks the landing. I love those other 2 movies, so we're going to have a spoiler review for that. The X-Men review series got delayed a little bit, so I might be running right into Deadpool 3 with all the Deadpool content and everything like that. I'm going to try my best to get to it as soon as I can, but I'm going to do it, and we're going to get those X-Men videos out to y'all sooner rather than later, hopefully, and better late than never, as I always say. So keep your eyes peeled for all the cool shit we got going on here on the channel. I appreciate and love each one of you. Enjoy your 4th of July holiday. Enjoy your weekend and everything like that, and until we see you again next week, make sure you stay tuned, don't sleep, and we're going to catch you on the flip side. Peace.